Memorials in honor of Aretha Franklin grow as devastated fans and celebrities pay tribute to the Queen of Soul following her death aged 76 from pancreatic cancer. Memorials in honor of Aretha Franklin have started growing across the United States as her devastated fans, loved ones, and fellow stars pay tribute to the long-reigning Queen of Soul following her death at age 76. Franklin passed away on Thursday at 9:50 am surrounded by family and friends at her home in Detroit following a battle with advanced pancreatic cancer. In one of the darkest moments of our lives, we are not able to find the appropriate words to express the pain in our heart. We have lost the matriarch and rock of our family, a statement from her family read. We have been deeply touched by the incredible outpouring of love and support we have received from close friends, supporters, and fans all around the world. Thank you for your compassion and prayers. We have felt your love for Aretha and it brings us comfort to know that her legacy will live on. As we grieve, we ask that you respect our privacy during this difficult time. Franklin, who sang with matchless style on such classics as Think, I Say a Little Prayer and her signature song, Respect, announced her retirement from touring last year. The mother of four had battled various undisclosed health issues in recent years. Her last public performance was at Elton John's AIDS Foundation Gala in New York in November last year. Soon after news of her death, which came on the same day as Elvis Presley and Babe Ruth, was announced, celebrities took to social media to mourn the loss of the Queen of Soul. Elton John, Barbra Streisand, and the Clintons were among those to share touching notes about Franklin. Barack and Michelle Obama, who considered Franklin a close friend, released a joint statement, saying they could feel our history in Franklin's voice when she sang. America has no royalty. But we do have a chance to earn something more enduring. Born in Memphis and raised in Detroit, Aretha Franklin grew up performing gospel songs in her father's congregation. For more than 6 decades since, every time she sang, we were graced with a glimpse of the divine, the Obamas wrote. Through her compassion and unmatched musicianship, Aretha helped define the American experience. In her voice, we could feel our history, all of it and in every shade, our power and our pain, our darkness and our light, our quest for redemption and our hard-won respect. She helped us feel more connected to each other, more hopeful, more human. And sometimes she helped us just forget about everything else and dance. Aretha may have passed on to a better place, but the gift of her music remains to inspire us all. May the Queen of Soul rest in eternal peace. Michelle and I send our prayers and warmest sympathies to her family and those moved by her song. President Donald Trump also offered his condolences in an emotionless tribute, saying he knew her well. She worked for me on numerous occasions. She was terrific, Aretha Franklin, on her passing, Trump said, adding that she brought joy to millions. She was given a great gift from God, her voice, and she used it well. People loved Aretha. She was a special woman. So just want to pass on my warmest best wishes and sympathies to her family. Clive Davis, the music mogul who brought her to Arista Records and helped revive her career in the 1980s, said he was devastated by her death. She was truly one of a kind. She was more than the Queen of Soul. She was a national treasure to be cherished by every generation throughout the world, he said. Apart from our long professional relationship, Aretha was my friend. Her loss is deeply profound and my heart is full of sadness. Smokey Robinson, who grew up with her in Detroit, said, "This morning my longest friend in this world went home to be with our father. I will miss her so much but I know she's at peace." Franklin's Hollywood Walk of Fame star was quickly turned into a makeshift memorial surrounded by floral tributes and a crown after news of her death broke. Fans also flocked to concert venues across the country where Franklin had previously played, including New York's Apollo Theater, to leave flowers and condolence messages. Residents in her hometown of Detroit, where 2 streets bear her name, went to the New Bethel Baptist Church where Franklin first forged her career. Floral tributes also started to pile up outside the home where Franklin was born in Memphis, Tennessee. A professional singer by her late teens and a superstar by her mid-20s, Franklin had long ago settled any arguments over who was the greatest popular vocalist of her time. She recorded hundreds of tracks and had dozens of hits over the span of a half-century, including 20 that reached No. 1 on the R&B charts. Her records sold millions of copies and the music industry couldn't honor her enough. Franklin won 18 Grammy Awards, and in 1987 she became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Throughout her career, fellow singers bowed to her eminence and political and civic leaders treated her as a peer. The revelation. Martin Luther King Jr. was a longtime friend, and she sang at the dedication of King's Memorial, in 2011. She was also a financial lifeline to the civil rights organization he co-founded. Franklin also performed at the funeral for civil rights pioneer Rosa Parks in 2005. She also performed at the inaugurations of Presidents Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, and Barack Obama. Franklin was awarded the National Medal of the Arts by Clinton and President George W. Bush awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, in 2005. Her best-known appearance with a president was in January 2009 when she sang My Country 'Tis of Thee at Obama's inauguration. She wore a gray felt hat with a huge, Swarovski rhinestone-bordered bow that became an internet sensation and even had its own website. In 2015, she brought Obama and others to tears with a triumphant performance of Natural Woman at a Kennedy Center tribute to the song's co-writer, Carole King. Franklin endured the exhausting grind of celebrity and personal troubles dating way back to childhood. She had 2 sons by the time she was 16 to 2 different fathers and was often in turmoil as she struggled with her weight, alcoholism, family problems, and financial predicaments. She was married from 1961 to 1969 to her manager, Ted White, and their battles are widely believed to have inspired her performances on several songs, including Sweet Sweet Baby, Since You've Been Gone, Think, and her heartbreaking ballad of despair, Ain't No Way. Franklin married actor Glynn Turman in 1978 in Los Angeles but returned to her hometown of Detroit the following year after her father was shot by burglars and left semi-comatose until his death in 1984. She and Turman divorced that year. Franklin, who was born March 25, 1942, in Memphis, Tennessee, grew up with her father Revelation C.L. Franklin in Detroit. He was among the most prominent Baptist ministers of his time and recorded dozens of albums of sermons and music. It was at her father's New Bethel Baptist Church that Franklin, who began playing piano at age 8, learned the gospel fundamentals that would make her a soul institution. Music was the family business and performers from Sam Cooke to Lou Rawls were guests at the Franklin house. In the living room, a shy young Aretha odd friends with her playing on the grand piano. Franklin was in her early teens when she began touring with her father and she released a gospel album in 1956 through JVB Records. 4 years later, she signed with Columbia Records producer John Hammond, who called Franklin the most exciting singer he had heard since a vocalist he promoted decades earlier, Billie Holiday. She recorded several albums for Columbia Records over the next 6 years. She had a handful of minor hits, including Rock-A-Bye Your Baby with a Dixie melody and Runnin' Out of Fools. Franklin jumped to Atlantic Records when her contract ran out in 1966. Her hits, including I Say a Little Prayer, Natural Woman and Respect soon followed. In 1968, Franklin was pictured on the cover of Time magazine and had more than 10 top 20 hits in 1967 and 1968. At a time of rebellion and division, Franklin's records were a musical union. Her popularity faded during the 1970s despite such hits as the funky rock steady and such acclaimed albums as The Intimate Spirit in the Dark. But her career was revived in 1980 with a cameo appearance in the smash movie The Blues Brothers and her switch to Arista Records. Franklin collaborated with such pop and soul artists as Luther Vandross, Elton John, Whitney Houston, and George Michael, with whom she recorded a No. 1 single, I Knew You Were Waiting for Me. Her 1985 album Who received some of her best reviews and included such hits as the title track and Freeway of Love. Franklin occasionally performed at her father's New Bethel Baptist Church throughout her career and recorded her 1987 gospel album One Lord, One Faith, One Baptism, Live There. Fame never eclipsed Franklin's charitable works, or her loyalty to Detroit. Franklin sang the national anthem at Super Bowl in her hometown in 2006, after grousing that Detroit's rich musical legacy was being snubbed when the Rolling Stones were chosen as halftime performers. She only released a few albums over the past 2 decades, including A Rose Is Still a Rose, which featured songs by Sean Diddy Combs, Lauryn Hill, and other contemporary artists, and So Damn Happy, for which Franklin wrote the gratified title ballad. Following her death on Thursday, Franklin's music quickly climbed the iTunes charts with her 30 Greatest Hits album hitting the No. 1 spot, while Respect reached No. 2 on the songs charts. More songs from Franklin, including You Make Me Feel Like, A Natural Woman, Think, Chain of Fools and I Say a Little Prayer, were in the top 40.